Hello and welcome. For today's video tutorial we're going to be looking at some classically elegant Bailmaker earrings. Now I first made these on a challenge show on a TV channel I worked for about 11 years ago. Now how I ended up on TV I've absolutely no idea, but one day I was there and just making stuff. So let's head down to the board. We'll take a closer look at this project. I'm going to be using my 6-step beadalon Bailmakers, and these are absolutely wonderful. If you don't have any in your stash, go and grab yourself some. I don't get a kickback from Beadalon for telling you about their stuff. I just happen to think they're really good products. So without further ado, let's head down to the board. My name is Jem. Let's make jewellery together. So this is my design for the Bailmaker drop earrings. They're really simple to create, very quick, and don't use a huge amount of materials. So in terms of affordability and ease, they are really great. I hope that you like this project. So let's crack on and I'll show you what the materials are that we need today. So in order to secure the beads, I've got just a little scrap of some 0.6mm or 22 gauge wire. The beads I'm working with are beautiful carnelians. They're round 8mm. I've handmade some ear wires. And for the main part of the project, I have two 10-inch lengths of 1mm or 18 gauge wire. Now I'm working in raw copper because I simply adore this wire. It's my favourite wire to work with. For today's tools, I'm going to be working with my ever-present bent chain nose pliers, some flush cutters, my 6-step Bailmakers, and a pair of flat facing pliers which have an even length across that tip all the way along. They're really handy to have. The star of the show is the 6-step Bailmaker, and this is how we're going to create that even and repeatable drop shape. To begin with, I'm going to take my first 10-inch length of that 1mm or 18 gauge wire, and I'm going to warm that through. Despite being beautifully sunny today, it's really cold. So you can see that my wire, even though I'm giving it a really hearty warm, isn't actually helping very much. So if you do struggle to get that warm, you may help by just gripping one end with a set of pliers, so that you can really get a good hold on that wire, and then you'll see that the wire becomes much smoother and it's really ready to work with. Once you've fully warmed that wire through, we're going to find the approximate centre point and use pin number 1 on the Bailmakers to generate a crossing over loop, and I'll show you what I mean by that. So I'm going to hold that with pin number 1 facing up towards me and then bring both of those ends together. Now because my right side is a little shorter, I'm going to just reposition that and bring the left side over. In that way, we should try to get that back in the middle. You could, of course, measure so that you start exactly in the centre of that wire. That would be where the smart money is. But you can see just by gently twitching the wire, you can re-centralise that point should you, like me, need to. So we have our little pear drop shaped loop up at the top there, and that's our beginning point. What I like to do before I go any further at this stage is to just gently twist. I'm not twisting the wire around itself because that will weaken the wire. What I've done is I've put a tiny deviation in both of those pieces of wire so that they are now both flat. Otherwise, one slightly goes off at the top, one slightly goes off to the underside. I'm going to now grab my bail making pliers. Now what I've done is I've brought the camera up a little way so I can show you this from over the top. I'm going to find pin number 2 on my bail making pliers. At this stage, the wire that's coming up towards the top of the screen is over the top of the other wire. So I just need you to bear that in mind. If yours is the other way around, don't worry, you just need to invert what's going to happen next. I'm going to start with the wire that's going over the top, and I'm going to use pin number 2 to just gently draw that towards the centre line. And that centre line is defined when the outside of the pin touches the other wire. I'm then going to draw the wire that's from the top, the upper of those two wires. I'm going to draw that down underneath the lower wire. So those wires are always going to be switching from on the top to underneath. So we've made our first move. It looks a little bit like macrame, or macrame if you prefer. I'm now going to use pin number 2 again, but I'm going to put it on the other wire this time. So if I pop that into position, and you'll see from above it looks like this. I'm then going to draw the wire which was lower and is now over the top. I'm going to draw that in the opposite direction. Now I've exaggerated the maneuver here just to show you what that looks like. So what we're actually looking to happen is for those 2 wires to cross over and move out to the side. So let me show you. It looks a little bit like my yogi wire form from a few years ago. And if you want to check that out, there's a link in the video here and you can go and have a look at that one. So that is our second loop. And again, I'm just going to very gently twist those wires so that they are flat. So I'm continuously, every time I've made that crossing over section, I'm continuously bringing everything back into flat. So as we're looking at it, the wire that is scooching round under here is over the top of the other wire, which means when I bend the top wire round, I'm going to aim it down lower than the one that's presently going underneath. So they're always switching sides. So we just used pin number 2. We now need to use pin number 3. So that's here. And I'm going to move the wire that's on top first. So I'm going to roll that around until the pin hits the lower wire. And I'm going to push that all the way around and just aim it downwards and away. I pull that away, you'll see what has been achieved here. The shiny wire is on top of the other one. So let's switch sides. We're still working on pin number 3. And what we're going to do is to grip the wire which was underneath, draw that around, and it goes over the top because we angled that other wire downwards. So just hold that into position and you'll get those 2 wires crossing over. So again, very softly bringing up the lower wire, pushing down the upper wire. So everything is nice and flat. So that was pin number 3. We're now going to use pin number 4, and we're going to start with the wire that's sitting on top. So if I flash that in the light, you should be able to see that this is the on top wire. So putting pin number 4 into position, I'm going to roll that back until the pin hits the other wire. And because it's going over the top, I'm now going to angle that very softly downwards. So you can see it's lower than the other one. Switch sides again, remembering which pin you were using, and then just roll that into position, draw the tail across the back like so. So you've got the next size in position, and again I'm going to pinch very firmly. I'm going to bring the lower wire upwards and the upper wire downwards very gently. All the while I'm being very mindful to keep an eye that I'm not changing the size of those loopy segments we've created. So next up we want to use pin number 5, and we're going to start on that upper wire, which again is on top of that little crossing over point. So pop that into position. I'll show you that sideways first. I'm a little bit away from that junction point, bring it back upright, twist that around until the pin hits the other wire. Then I can switch that over. What I didn't do was push it down enough. So if you forget, like I just did, pop that pin back in and then just gently angle the wire downwards so it's going underneath the other wire. Flip to the other side, bring pin number 5 in, make sure that this one goes over the top and draw that tail of wire across. So if I just pull the pins out of the way, and again what I want to do is to make sure that I can still get pin number 4 in the previous gap, and if I can't, it means I've bent something too hard. So I'm just going to open those out slightly, pop pin number 4 back in, make sure everything is lining up really nicely, and you may need to just open these out slightly. So once you've opened them out, you can put pin number 5 in, and just make sure that everything is going where it's supposed to be going, keeping an eye that everything is going in a straight line. So you can see that I've ever so slightly deviated this wire too far to the top. This wire is also too far in that direction. So you can fix this by putting pin number 4 back in the loop which it was attached to, and just opening that hole out where pin number 5 is going to go back in. So that's this one. Let's pop that in. I'm pinching very firmly with my left hand. As I mentioned, it's a little cold today, which means that my grip strength is a little reduced with the arthritis. So again, I'm just going to gently twist to make sure that the upper wire is now pointing down slightly. So the last pin now, pin number 6, I'm going to start on the lower side this time. Doesn't matter which order you do it in, as long as you're always switching one to the other. So the wire I'm working on right now is underneath, and the reason I'm showing you this in a different order is just in case the way you twisted your wire at the beginning is opposite to how I have. Just means that if it's underneath to begin with, you're going to want to aim it over the top. So let's take pin number 6 and just roll that into position. So roll it until it hits that center point, and then gently push that one upwards so it's going over the top of that other side. Put pin number 6 on the other wire and then roll that back towards the center point. Draw the wire across. Now at this stage it definitely pays to have both sides done, so you can just check that they are similar enough to be passed off as a matched pair. The next thing you're going to need to do is to just make sure that this angle down at the bottom is correct. So I'm going to pinch very firmly and make sure that those 2 wires are coming off exactly the same on both halves. Yep, that works. And then I'm going to trim the wire from that center point. So again, just straighten that up slightly. The upper wire goes down ever so slightly, the lower wire comes up ever so slightly. Again, all I'm doing is putting a tiny bit of pressure on so that the wire bites against itself, not so that there is any real pressure or dinks in the wire. I'm now going to trim from the crossover point to the end of each side, and I'm going to make it exactly 50 mil. If you're working entirely in inches, then that is, let's go with 2 inches, as long as it's the same on both sides and it's in the region of 2 inches or approximately 50 mil. As long as they're both the same, it's going to be fine. So from the crossover point to the very end, and I only need to take the tiniest smidge off this end, just a teeny tiny bit into the scrap pot for melting later. Let's get that ruler out of the way. So now I have got 2 earrings ready to be wound up, and they look as similar as I need them to look, bearing in mind they'll be on other sides of the head. So they can be a pair even if they're not completely identical, but ideally, because you're going to be selling them not on a pair of ears, you will want them to look reasonably similar. So to create the spirals that lock the design together in place, we're going to use pin number 1 on our Bailmakers. You could of course use standard round nose pliers if they're more comfortable in your hands for this part of the tutorial. I'm going to grip very close to the end of that wire and start spiraling inwards. You have to forgive the misfires there, it's a little bit chilly and my grip strength is down. So let's just hold that in whatever fashion is easiest for you. Once you get it started, almost a complete circle, about 2/3 of a circle, we're going to switch to flat facing pliers and start pushing that form back against the tail of wire that's coming away from it. When you're creating spirals, it really does pay to move slowly. Now, this is a point in time in which you can kind of mess it up slightly if you don't carefully grip the whole assembly. We don't want to undo the time and effort you put into this by pulling this out of place. So I'm going to get that spiral going, and then I'm going to do exactly the same thing on the other side, bringing that wire back inwards towards the middle of the design, not outwards. We want them to lock together. So I've cheated slightly and taken that spiral a little bit further round, which when you're happy with making spirals, you can find your own path to the perfect spiral. Let's draw those together into the middle. Now again, just be careful that you don't upset anything here. Now what we're wanting to do, if I can show you this very softly, Can you see the wire that comes into my right hand is over the top? So I'm going to want this one to be tilting down slightly. Whichever one is on top, you want to tilt down slightly and bring that to the center point. The wire that was underneath, so you can see this wire that travels around into the other spiral, is on top. So I'm going to bring this one over the top. It was underneath, it passed underneath that nexus point, and it's going to finish up over the top. And you're sitting one spiral on top of the other, and that locks everything together so it can't open up. Now what we need to do is to stop it from closing up. I'm just going to give that one last little tweak. So I have a small scrap of wire here. In total, you shouldn't need any more than 3 or 4 inches, but I've got a scrap of 0.6mm or 22 gauge wire just here. And in fact, I'm just going to cut that in half. So I've got one for either side. Each length needs to be no more than about 2 inches. What I'm going to do is to pick, if I have a preferred side, which is up, then I'm going to pick that side. They both look the same to me. And I'm going to lay about 3/4 of an inch of that finer wire over the largest of those cavities that we made. I'm now going to utilise my bent chain nose pliers to spiral the finer wire around the heavier wire 3 times. It's a little bit easier to show you with pliers rather than to try and do that by hand, because all you'll see is my hand in the way. Sometimes it's actually just a little bit easier to use the pliers anyway. So I'm going to go for 3 spirals. If you had an excess of wire, you absolutely could spiral it all the way down to that meeting point, and I think that looks really attractive. The main thing here is that you get the same number of spirals on either side of that bead. So if you're trimming away to have 3 wraps, let's get that out of the way and into the scrap pot. We're going to cut that so that the end sits inside that rounded cavity that we've created. Give it a squish, make sure it's tight and neat. And another thing to be aware of is that when you're spiraling the tail of wire, you spiral it downwards on both sides. I've done that before during a tutorial actually. Spiraled downwards on one side and upwards on the other side, realised afterwards, had to undo it. Left it in the video because I feel like if it's a mistake I can make, maybe it's a mistake that you could make too. So let's talk about it. So position your bead however you see fit. I've gone for an 8mm round carnelian. I think carnelian and copper together are just beautiful. So let's bring that tail all the way over the top of that circular form that we created. Bring the tail of wire around neatly and repeat until you have the same number of wraps on both sides. So you're barely using an inch and a smidge, but it's much easier to both achieve and to demonstrate if you've got something to cut off. If you're scrabbling for wire or if you're using a precious metal, then obviously you can be a little bit more mindful of that. I'm not overly worried because I will simply melt this all down and turn it into a nugget of copper later. So let's make sure that that cut tail is smooth against the wire itself, the wire frame, and there you have your earring. Now I've just made some homemade earring findings to go with this design so that the wire is all the same colour. So I'm just going to open that up. I like to have the wire over the top of the design as opposed to underneath, but you could absolutely choose whichever way you want that to sit. I like the slightly more bulbous element of the bead to be at the front there. Sit that into position, close up your earring finding, and there you have your Bailmaker drop earring. I think they're really elegant. They're also really easy, and if you've not used a Bailmaker before, or you have a Bailmaker and you don't use it, they're an amazing tool. Really, really helpful, and not just for making bails. Thanks so much for watching the Gemhawks YouTube channel. I hope you've enjoyed the tutorial today. There are something like 350 plus wirework tutorials available, all free on this channel. A subscription means the world, so please do subscribe, like the video, leave me a comment, send me a request if there's anything in particular you'd like me to teach you how to make with wire. Obviously I'm not a genius and I can't make a DeLorean out of wire, but you never know, you got to try these things. Thanks so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you again in the near future. Bye for now.